Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today I am bringing my recap for week 6 of my 2025 gaming backlog journey. Link in the description for the full explanation of this whole list and thing. But yeah, this is the 6th week of me doing my backlog journey, trying to conquer through all these games. And this week has felt like a very long one, to the point that I really had to double check and make sure that this wasn't week 7, because I was like, it really just felt like it was 2 weeks worth of time. I feel like a lot of stuff happened. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. But of course, I'm going to format it the same way I always do. So we will start with recapping the general overview as what I did over the last week. Then I will dive deeper into each game that I played, just to talk a little bit more about where I'm at, if my feelings have changed, things like that. And then I will preview what I expect the next week to be. So yeah, I mean, this past week in terms of just like life in general has been pretty normal. I feel like I had a lot of time to game. I made like decent progress in here, but I feel like I could have made more, and so my motivation was like, I don't know, it's like last weekend when I had like so much time to play, I feel like I didn't make as much progress as I would have liked. However, during the week I feel like I made more progress than in past weeks, and I think at the time of recording this video my like motivation is like back up, because I just feel like I see so many games that I haven't started and I'm just like, man, I was like, time's ticking, I need to like get on it. So you know, mentality wise, I think I'm coming back up on the, like, you know, let's play a bunch of games. Yeah, one other sort of like mental thing is that I've still been balancing this with like my daily uploads. I'm still doing 2 playthroughs, like, you know, that are still being uploaded daily, and so balancing that is kind of like rough. You know, when I like made this like idea, ideally I was kind of like, oh well, one of these playthroughs should probably end soon and then it'll be like easier to balance, but like they've just kept going. And I mean, I love both of them, but like it's more time being spent to playing games that aren't on this list, which, you know, also kind of helps kill like some motivation to play certain games sometimes. But I don't know, it is what it is. But yeah, that's sort of the mental thing, I guess. Nothing else crazy happened. So let's go ahead and talk about the what happened. Where we left off last week was me just playing Psychonauts, Ghost of Tsushima, and Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I think it took until Monday, but I did finish Psychonauts, and I'm going to say that with a caveat, because I will go more into it later, but I already looked. Actually, that's a pretty easy thing to do anyway, for the math. So we are down to 71 hours. That's still a lot of hours. I actually stopped playing at the final mission. There's like a final platforming mission that was like really tedious and really making me angry. And so I just decided to stop, but I was towards the end and I just looked up a video of like the rest of the game. It was literally like 30 minutes. There's a chance I could go back and finish it just to be like, I did it, but I felt like I had a complete enough experience and I didn't want to force myself to do something that wasn't fun, where the end product might be me lowering my opinion on the game overall, and I just didn't really want to be in that like negative headspace. So, you know, that is what it is. Ghost of Tsushima is still going strong. You know, we'll sit down every couple days, play like an hour or 2 of it. I think a total I'm about 13 to 14 hours playtime in. I gathered my people. I like freed my uncle. I feel like narratively I hit like the halfway point, but like progress wise, like the map, there's still like more than half of it to be revealed. So that is where I'm at with that. And Fire Emblem Fates Birthright is another one that I've been playing. I made the decision to lower the difficulty from hard mode to normal mode because there was a lot of chapters. There was too many times that I kept doing a chapter, a unit would die, and then I would just start over, and I would just keep doing that again and again and again, and it was getting a little frustrating. And I do know that basically every other Fire Emblem game that I have played, I generally do play on normal mode, and then once I like have a better handle of the mechanics, making sure I'm using the best units and whatnot, then I usually will play hard mode. And I think I just dove into Birthright like hard mode, being like, oh, I know Fire Emblem, I can just do it easily. But like, I've literally never played a Fire Emblem game on hard mode as like my first experience with the game. And so I was like, I put it back down to normal. Things are looking good, because I also don't think I'm using like the most optimal units. I'm just kind of using who I like. So that's just kind of how it is for now, you know. And I've been able to make more progress there. Another thing to touch on is the Eternal Strands. This literally happened, I think, almost the same day that I decided to stop playing Psychonauts. Eternal Strands had a really good like starting thing, and I'll dive more into it when I talk about each of the games that I played this week in more detail. But I think I've decided that Eternal Strands is not the game for me, and that is going to be the first game on my sort of dropped list or whatever. Which I don't feel that bad about, because Eternal Strands was not a game that was like on my radar for very long, and the only reason I played it is because it was available on Xbox Game Pass, which the whole point of Game Pass, I feel, is games that you wouldn't otherwise play, they come out, you might as well try it just to see if it's your jam. And I just don't think it's super my jam. It has a lot of good things going for it, and there's definitely an audience of people out there that it is for, but I will touch more on detail when I get there. And then the final thing to add on to this week, like I said, this week has been so long, is I did start playing Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, and that was a fantastic decision because, like I said, with Psychonauts, I was doing this like tedious like platforming stuff. Eternal Strands was mostly the combat and the exploration. It just felt like everything was like a chore. Birthright was like a fun chore, but it was also like, it was like mentally exhausting of just like trying to like put in all this effort. And I just needed a game where like I don't need to solve a puzzle, I don't need to like, you know, do anything like complicated. I like, just a nice racing game was like the perfect change of pace that I need, and I think that has actually been a big key to unlock my like motivation getting even stronger moving forward, because this was like a nice sort of like reset. Like, okay, not every game is going to be like some crazy test of skill or whatever, and it's not that like this isn't that, it's just a different, it's using like a different skill set altogether, and it's not like mentally exhausting. So yeah, I did start playing that. It does have a story mode, which is cool, and you can actually see all of the missions available in the entire story mode. You do them one at a time, but you can zoom out and see the entire map, so I will always have an idea as to how far through I am. There's also a percentage bar that marks how far you are. I think I'm like somewhere between like 11 to 15% or something like that. So that is where I'm at with that. But okay, this is already starting to be a long video, or has the makings to be a long video. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more in depth of each of the games that I played. Let's just start with Eternal Strands, because it's like a new game. It's not even part of the backlog. The reason that I started playing it is the art style looked cool. It's like a third-person action game, and I feel like I can get into those types of games. Initially, the art style, the art style is still very good. The presentation of like how the characters look, how they talk to each other, things like that, actually reminds me a lot of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is a game that I do really like, that came out last year. The gameplay is like not similar at all, but just like the art style, presentation, and just like the way the markers look, just feel like it's from like the same universe. There's a lot of like similarities in just like the feel. I don't know if that's just me, but that's just sort of like what I got from it. But I think what happened is like I got past like the prologue, and then like I went into the first like real area, and there was just like no direction. It's just kind of like go explore. And I didn't super like that. I like being told exactly where to go, honestly. So that was a little weird. But the main thing that kind of like sold it for me is like the combat just didn't feel like super fluid. Like as I was just fighting like normal enemies in the overworld, like blocking wasn't doing as much, like parrying, like I guess maybe I need to parry more, I don't know. But then like there was a couple times I got hit by like an invisible enemy, essentially, like one that is able to like camouflage itself, and it would like poison me. And then like the poison, like I don't think I have anything to like heal like poison or like a poison type effect, and so my health is just like going down, and there's like nothing I can do about it. And then like I have like only a couple things of healing, and then when you die, if you don't have any healing, you don't get any healing back, so then I'm just left like without healing. I don't know, it just didn't really make sense. I tried to like look up some videos to be like, oh, is there like a way to be better at like Eternal Strands combat or anything like that, and everything that was described to me was basically talking about a playstyle of the game that I haven't even gotten to yet. Like the game, I guess, is centered around going and fighting these like giant monsters and like attacking like certain pieces and ripping off pieces and doing all that. That I didn't even get to any of that. So I mean, I haven't even gotten there. And also, it seems to, you know, center around a lot of like gathering materials and like crafting, and that's really just not my jam. So there's just sort of a mishmash of things that I don't super love. But I don't think it's like a terrible game. I just think it's not for me. And because it wasn't one that I like really had put a high like priority of to like play in general, I was just like, I don't think I need to put my time into this game. So I chose not to, which is, you know, perfectly fine and good for me. All right, now we'll talk about games that are actually from the backlog. We'll start with Psychonauts because I did finish it. Like I mentioned, the final mission required a lot of precise platforming, and despite the fact that I went into Psychonauts, expecting it to be like a 3D platformer, and by definition, I guess it still is, it doesn't generally have a ton of focus on the platforming itself. There's not a lot of precision platforming that is necessary. I would almost say that progress is more determined by like solving puzzles. So it's more like a puzzle game that has platforming elements, instead of the other way around, as well as like a decent amount of focus on combat depending on the level. And I feel like the two weakest parts of this game are precision platforming, which literally don't happen until like the final mission, and the combat is very hit and miss when it comes to the bosses. This is one where like normal enemies don't give me any issues. It's just bosses are sometimes hit or miss, but that's also kind of because it's like a puzzle sometimes, figuring out like even how to do damage to the boss. But sometimes it's just a little finicky. So where I had stopped at, the rest of the game is literally a precise platforming section where you are escorting somebody, and there's like a time limit where if that escort person, they like go ahead of you and like will be taking damage while you're trying to like climb vertically to get to him and protect him. And if you like don't do it in time or whatever, then you have to start all over. And if you fall off while you're like jumping up, you have to start back at the bottom. There's no like fast way to reset. If you're at like the third section and then you like fall the whole way down, there's like basically not enough time to even get the way back up. But you can't just like restart, as far as I know. You just have to like waste time and wait for the game to tell you that you failed. This also is like the old platformer style of like having lives. So like if you run out of lives, you get kicked out of the world entirely, and then you just have to spend like the 30 seconds that it takes to get back to where you were. Just little tedious things like that I didn't like. And then even if you get past that, like I said, I looked up a video to like just watch the rest of the game. After that, I'm pretty sure it's just like 2 or 3 boss fights, and neither of them look super appealing to me. So I really think that if I just like force myself to play the rest of the game, like my opinion of the game might get worse. But the good things that I want to highlight is because before then, I really was having a good time. Like I said, there's a lot of puzzle elements, and I don't always solve the puzzles, perfectly. There was definitely plenty of times that I had to look up guides, but most of the times the answers were pretty like straightforward, and I could have figured it out. I just didn't really realize for a while that the game is kind of centered around giving you items, and you need to use those items to interact with like certain things in certain ways. And so I wasn't really getting on that, but it doesn't really matter. Some of my like favorite worlds, like when I was playing through, there's a world basically known as like the Milkman Conspiracy, which is potentially my favorite like level in video games ever. It was so good. The humor, the charm, it was incredible. And then the one after that, nope, I think it was 2 worlds after that, involved a lot of these paintings, and you had to avoid this like bull that was like running down an alleyway. And that was actually one of the first levels that I was able to do where I really didn't have to look up much. I was able to like do it by my own merit, which shouldn't feel like that big of an accomplishment, but for me, I promise it is. That is one thing that I do still need to work on, is I am very quick when something's not working to just like immediately look up a guide, and that's not always a bad thing. I will stand by like using a guide if it's going to save me from like wasting time. But I do think that I should sort of limit on like how quickly I'm like, consulting a guide when things aren't going my way. So Psychonauts was happening a lot with, but yeah, it's still a very good game overall. But I think that's all I have to say. I have thrown around the idea of like maybe I will try to do that last mission again. If I can get past that mission and have like a save point, and then I can focus on just like the boss fight after that, and then the boss fight after that, it's like I might go back and finish it, just to say that I did it. But as of right now, I think I'd rather make progress in the other games. We'll do a quick check-in on Ghost of Tsushima. Like I said, I've been doing basically every quest that I can come across. I got all my allies. We saved the main character's uncle, which is awesome. That was kind of like the first big story beat that I feel like the game was building to. So we were able to rescue him, and now the Mongols have like taken over this big castle like in the north. And I've always been able to see how big the map is going to be, because you can like zoom out and you can see how much like you've explored versus how much there is total. And I'm like, I've maybe explored a third of like the whole map, and I'm sure there still might be some quests to be done even in the section that I have explored. So like I've been doing every quest that I come across, but I might have still missed some. So I still plan on doing like every little thing that I come across, which is, the plan. The time listed here from how long to beat is 46 hours for main game plus extras. I'm at like 13 or 14 hours, and honestly, I might even be going more completionist than that. So I'm really not sure how long I'm going to be playing Ghost of Tsushima, but it's probably going to be a mainstay of this video series for quite a while, because it's just a nice sort of relaxing, easy thing to just throw on for like an hour or two, get a couple missions done, and then just move on to another game, sort of thing. So I don't really plan on just putting like a ton of hours into just sitting down and playing it right now. Maybe as I get closer to the end, maybe I will. But as of right now, I'm just kind of vibing, and that's the way I like it. Then Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. The update there is, I think I'm at chapter 15 or 16. And I know there's 27 chapters total. I don't think that accounts for like paralogs and stuff. I'm pretty sure that there's like child units and stuff, so I don't know. Nothing of that sort has like been introduced in the story. It's mostly been finding Corrin's like siblings that like were missing and stuff, which they're all together again. We've had a couple missions trying to fight King Garen and whatnot, which has not gone super well for them. So I like, theoretically I should only have like 10 or 11 chapters, but I definitely don't feel like that makes sense given like how long I expect the game to be. So we'll see what more there is to do. I definitely think I'm going to put a lot of time into this game, just because now that I've put things on normal mode, it is generally easier. Like, most of the enemies are very easy to beat. There are still a couple of like higher level enemies that I feel like one wrong crit and I could still be in for a world of having to restart a chapter. So it's not like super like breeze, but it's definitely a lot more manageable. So as I continue to get better with the game mechanics, that should make that playthrough go pretty easy. So the first, the only, I guess, new addition from the backlog to talk about today is Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged. I don't have like a huge history with Hot Wheels. I've just always kind of liked the idea of them. Like, I used to have some cars when I was a kid. I don't remember having the tracks too much, but I would have little Hot Wheels cars. I would like race them around the house, and I would just do various things like with them and whatnot. So I've always kind of like liked the idea, and I also played a ton of racing games when I was a kid as well. So I've always liked racing games, but I haven't really played like a ton lately. Like, like I played Mario Kart and whatnot, but I just don't really keep up with like a lot of racing game series. But I don't know, Hot Wheels just seemed like a fun racing game. I've heard good things, and yeah, it was on Game Pass. So it is, I mean, it's a fun game, and like I said, I've been playing through the story mode. My main thing is to play through the story mode. It has like cutscenes and dialogue and whatnot, not like a whole lot, but there is like a story, which is pretty cool. It has different types of races. Like, you have your normal races, you have elimination races where you just can't be in last place when the timer hits 0, and they have these ones where you have to get to all the checkpoints within a certain amount of time. There's one where you have to complete a track within a certain amount of time. So there's a decent amount of variety. This game was kind of weird with its difficulty because I was just playing on normal, and I felt like it was fairly easy, though I will say it's hard to tell how well I'm doing because I think this game has like a pretty heavy like handicap for like anybody who's not in first place. Like, it's like a little bit of a boost, because I've noticed sometimes when I pass the finish line, there's like some cars right behind me, but then also if I like mess up and I'm like in 12th place, like I can get to first place literally within like 5-10 seconds. Like, all the cars are like generally like grouped up like super together, like all of the AI like computer opponents. So it's hard to know about difficulty. I did try to bump it up to hard mode, and then that just kind of made it almost impossible to get back into first place, and it felt a little bit more tedious. I'm not like amazing at the game, so I don't know if that's part of it. I would say that most of the challenge of this game doesn't really come from the other racers, though. It really just comes from the courses themselves. This game has like jumping. There's like gaps that if you don't jump you can fall down, and then you have to respawn and you just like lose a whole bunch of progress. There's certain like types of terrain that you can just get yourself caught on. This happens a lot more in the types of challenges where you have to hit all the checkpoints, where you'll try to do like a tight turn, and then you'll turn either too tight or too loose, and you'll just like hit like a wall. And if you're just stuck on a wall, it's very hard to get out of that like quickly. So I feel like the difficulty from the game really just comes from learning and becoming proficient at the courses themselves. Once you've got the course down, that's really about it. This game doesn't have any sort of like items or anything like that to attack other racers. So it's literally just you versus the course. So that is a little bit different than what I'm used to, but I think it is fine. I think it's, you know, fairly cool and like unique. Maybe it's not like unique per se, but I mean the courses are unique. Like you know, some of them are going through mini golf courses, some of them are going through like dinosaur museums. There's just like some of them you're just like racing around outside. So it definitely has some interesting stuff, you know. There's courses where you go through loops. You know, the presentation is very nice. The sense of speed is definitely there. It's very much built around like drifting and then using the drift to build up boost and then boosting a lot. So that is, you know, right up my alley for stuff that I like to do anyway. So yeah, it's really just checking a lot of boxes. I think it's just a good, fun game. I'm a little worried because I can see like how many missions there are in the story mode, and it looks like a lot. And I do feel like it might get a little repetitive, but I'm still having fun. I find this is a pretty easy game to just throw on, knock a couple races out, and then just move on. So we'll see how I feel moving forward. I don't think that I'm going to really, you know, unlock anything like super new in the game. I think I'm just going to be doing a lot of the same old, and maybe it'll get harder. We'll see how some of the courses end up being. But yeah, so that is sort of my general thoughts so far on Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. So that is that. I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say. So now that recaps everything that I played this week. So now I guess I'll preview what I expect the next week to happen. And this next week will be somewhat interesting. So notable events are the Super Bowl tomorrow. I will be going over to a friend's house for that. So that is not video game time. That is, you know, real game time and bonding with friends time. And next Friday is Valentine's Day, which I also have plans for. So next week's video will probably be recorded on Thursday, but it will still be up on Saturday, same day, as always. So there's that. There are also a couple of new games coming out next Friday. I will talk more about them potentially next week or maybe even the week after, but probably next week. Because that'll be more of a preview of what to expect from the week after. So as a result, I do want to make a lot of progress on the games currently on the backlog because I am about to add some games onto it. Something worth bringing up is that Civilization 7 did come out this past week, but my nephew got it. He's been playing it. I don't really want to play it day one. I have some reservations on the gameplay. I have reservations with the fact that they're coming out with the game, and then they have like DLC planned for like a month after. And Civilization is a series that generally will go on some crazy cheap sales, especially once there's like, you know, big bundles of like all the DLC. And so I could spend like full price on the game and then more on a DLC and then more on another DLC. Like I'm pretty sure they already have like 5 DLCs planned. Or I could just like wait for like more of the game to come out and then bundle it all together for like a better deal. And so that's kind of what I'm planning on doing. I don't even know if I'm going to end up playing it this year or not. I specifically love Civ 5. I have played a little bit of Civ 6 and that was fine. But Civ 5 is sort of my main jam. But I know that game and that series is kind of like with the DLC and without DLC are like 2 completely different games. And like, I guess if I wanted to go along for the ride, I could, but I just don't really see myself putting in that much time right now. So I'm kind of skipping over that for now. Maybe I'll go back later in the year and play it. Maybe I won't even play it till next year. I don't really know. So I don't need to worry too much about that. But yeah, as of next week, there will be some games coming out that I do care about. So where I think my focus is going to be is I do think that I'm going to try to finish Fire Emblem Fates Birthright by next week. I should have about 10 or 11 chapters. And then whatever paralogs and whatnot on top of that. So I don't know how many battles and chapters that will be total, but I really think that I can knock quite a few out if I really try. I also want to make a lot of progress in Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, and if I can do that, I don't know if I will finish it by next week, but I am going to try to get, you know, as close as I can to the finish line with that game. And then I would just be left with Ghost of Tsushima. any new game that comes out, and then I might be able to add like one more game on top of that from the backlog, just so we continue to make more progress, because there's a decent amount of like, you know, blank like spaces here, you know, things that aren't colored. I want more green on this list. So but I'm definitely not starting another game until I finish probably both Hot Wheels and Fire Emblem. I'm not just going to keep 3 games in rotation at all times, so yeah, I'm going to focus on those 2 for sure. I want to make sure that Ghost of Tsushima does not get completely left behind, though. I will make sure to at least knock an hour or 2 out every couple days, just so the gameplay and everything is fresh on my mind, and I don't lose the muscle memory, I don't lose the motivation to play that game. So that is sort of my review for the week ahead. Should be pretty interesting, and I will be back next week breaking down, you know, what happened and how things are going. So hopefully you have enjoyed. This was a kind of wordy, you know, lengthy video, so anything that I missed or questions you have, feel free to ask, and I shall answer. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get back to my backlog, and I will see you all next week. So, till then, peace out.